முகப்புரை. இந்தியாவின் தனித்துவ மாண்பிற்கு ஏற்ப அரசியலமைப்பை உருவாக்கும் பணி 1946ஆம் ஆண்டு டிசம்பர் 9ஆம் தேதி முதல் தொடங்கியது. 60 நாடுகளில் அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டங்களை ஆராய்ந்து குடிமக்களுக்கு அடிப்படை உரிமைகளை சுதந்திரமாகவும் 1 மாதம் மற்றும் 18 நாட்களில் 11 முறை குழு கூடி ஆலோசித்து நாம் இப்போது போற்றும் அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டம் 1949ஆம் ஆண்டு நவம்பர் 26ஆம் தேதி உருவாக்கப்பட்டது. இந்நாளை இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு தினமாக ஆண்டுதோறும் நாம் கொண்டாடி வருகிறோம். உலகிலேயே கையினால் எழுதப்பட்ட மிகப்பெரிய அரசியலமைப்பு சாசனம் இந்தியா என்பதில் நாம் பெருமிதம் கொள்வோம். 8 பிரிவுகளில் 395 சட்டப்பதிவுகள் கொண்டு உலக நாடுகளுக்கு முன் உதாரணமாக திகழ்கிறது. இப்படிப்பட்ட பெருமைமிகு அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தை உருவாக்கிய நம் இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு தந்தை டாக்டர் B.R. அம்பேத்கர் அவர்களை நினைவு கூர்ந்து இந்த நாளில் அரசியலமைப்பு நமக்கு அளித்த உரிமைகளையும் நமக்கு இருக்கும் கடமைகளை உணர்ந்து போற்றுவது முதன்மையாக இருக்க வேண்டும் என்று வலியுறுத்தி இந்த விழாவிற்கு வருகை தந்திருக்கும் அனைவரையும் ஸ்ரீ மணக்குள விநாயகர் சட்டக் கல்லூரியின் சார்பாக வரவேற்பதில் பெருமிதம் கொள்கின்றோம். Prayer is steering wheel to reach God. Let's seek the divine blessings from the invocation. Let us all stand for the prayer song. I request everyone to continue standing for assembly anthem, reflecting our pride and spirit of our institutions.
Shiva
seated. Let's visualize the audio-visual presentation of our institutions.
team for the wonderful video presentation. Dance is the hidden language of the soul. May I invite Dhanushya from LLB to perform Welcome Dance.
प्रणवालय पाहि परिपालय परमेशी कमलालय श्रीदेवी कुरिपिंचवे करुणांबुरासी धीं तारा जतुलतो
Thank you, Dhanushya, for the graceful performance. I request our Chief Guest, Controller of Examinations, Dean Academics, Dean Research, Dean Center of Legal Education to occupy their seats on the dais. happy morning to one and all present here. Once again, on behalf of SMBC Center of Legal Education, I welcome you all for the celebration of Constitution Day. Let's light a lamp of wisdom to spread energy and positivism. Now, I call upon the dignitaries on the dais to light the lamp. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. Welcoming is an experience that leaves an indelible mark in our hearts and minds. May we invite Dr. A. Vincent Arpudam, Dean, Center of Legal Education, to deliver welcome address to the gathering.
So good morning to one and all. So respected chief guest of this function, respected controller of examination, respected Dean Academics, so respected Dean R&D, my dear faculty, dear students, today we are celebrating the 27th day of Constitution Day. The nation is celebrating, and in our institution we are celebrating the 3rd year of the Constitution Day. So when we got independence, so the political thinkers and even the historians, so they expressed the opinion that India won't stand even for a year. But our Constitution has proved that opinion wrong. And now we are celebrating the 75th year of adoption of the Constitution, and we are marching forward towards the centenary. Our Indian Constitution, so it is a compromise of states' right and individual rights on one side, and the personal liberty and the minorities' rights, linguistic minorities' rights, and everything it is protected by our Constitution. To sum up, so our Constitution actually protects the individual liberty in total. And now it is our responsibility and our duty to protect and to preserve all the provisions of the Constitution in future. Now, I will come to the assigned task of welcoming the guests. Now, our chief guest, so the Public Prosecutor of Viluppuram District, Thiru Subramaniam sir. No, he graduated law from the prestigious Madras Law College, and he started his practice in Kadalur, and he practiced in Kadalur for 9 years, and thereafter he shifted to Viluppuram, and totally he is having 49 and odd years of service. He is one of the senior most advocate in the Viluppuram. So in Viluppuram, so earlier he served as a government pleader, so dealing with the civil cases for the government. Now currently he is the public prosecutor and he is dealing with the cases for the government. Now he is a very knowledgeable person, and he is, so therefore yesterday actually only I met him in his office. I could see his library, but I am a little bit actually hesitant to explain the same thing because so it is more than our library in the law college. He is having that much of a collection in his library. And his sister's son also my student, and he used to talk actually earlier when I was a faculty member in the government law college about him. But so while meeting him, so the first time I met him in Viluppuram. And he is closely associated with the Judicial Academy of Chennai and various, so he is the legal advisor for various banks in Tamil Nadu. With these few words, I extend a warm welcome to our Chief Guest, sir. So then I am going to brief everything, so because of the paucity of the time. So our controller, there is no need for any introduction. Actually, he is in charge of the director today, and our Dean Academics, so he is always the guiding spirit for our law school. And R&D actually is mainly concentrating on the engineering college, but slowly we will request him to do some service for our college also. And I extend all of them a warm welcome, sir. So then coming to my faculty and my students, dear students, I am extending a warm welcome to all of you. Now, because of some preoccupation with regard to the official duties, our chairman, treasurer, joint treasurer, so then our director, he could not able to attend this function. I extend a warm welcome to them also. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. It's time to honor our chief guest. May we invite Dr. A. Vincent Arpudam, Dean, Center of Legal Education, to honor our chief guest, Thiru T.S. Subramanian, Public Prosecutor, Viluppuram. Thank you, sir. Let's take pledge to reaffirm our commitment to the principles of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity enshrined in the Indian Constitution. Thank you, sir. May I invite Dr. A. Arivalagar, Dean Academics, to read out the Constitution Pledge and invite everyone to stand and join us in taking the pledge. Let us all stand for the pledge.
Shall I start? We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby
Lawyer should know each and every aspect and nuances of this country, without which you can never claim yourself to be a lawyer or a successful lawyer. And I would say that you all should be proud to have joined this profession, because it is only this profession which would give you the strength and the faith and the belief to enter into any arena, whatever it may be. With all boldness, you can approach anybody. That is the strength of this profession, and I wish you all to come out as shining stars of the future of India. With this, I now go to the main theme of the day, namely the Law Day or the Constitution Day. And during the introductory speech, it has been said that after independence, India became a democratic country. How to govern this India? To govern India, you must have some code, a code of conduct, code of governance. We have been under the colonial regime for a quite long time, namely my experiments with truth. Anyone? Nobody has gone through it. What I would say is, you should read that book. I think it must be available in your library. When you read it, you will know why we call Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi as the father of nation, as the father of ahimsa and satyagraha. Because after becoming a lawyer, he started his journey to England. After having gone to England, he found that he was assigned to appear for an individual in South Africa. In those days, equal justice was not provided on the ground of color of the individual. In other words, it was a racial discrimination. The father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, well dressed, travels in a first class compartment to his destination in South Africa. And those people, which I mean the white people, they don't like the black. We are only blacks, I tell you. Even though we are a little bit brown, we are only blacks. But we have fought a long way to attain the equal status among the whites, and that will be evident from the constitution or the governing body of the United States and the several companies in the United States. Most of the companies have the Indians as their CEO, and in the governing body, even now, President Trump, the incoming president, he has nominated several Indians. The Kamala Harris, who was the contestant, she had an Indian origin. That is how we have fought this inequality of justice on the ground of race a long way, and we have reached the top. Now coming to the point, while Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was traveling in the first class compartment, a white man entered into the compartment. On seeing the black man, he called the chief of the train, who is having full control of the train, to jettison out Mr. Gandhi. And when he confronted Gandhi, he showed him the first class ticket, but still he was pushed out of the train. That is the first ordeal that was experienced by Mr. Gandhi. And after that, he went there, he fought for his client, he won the case, but still he had some strong convictions. Why I say the story of Master Gandhi is that you all must have some sort of conviction in your life, without which you can never uphold the dignity of the Constitution, namely the Indian Constitution, the preamble of which was read out to be a strict vegetarian. Imagine, in a foreign soil, how can one be a vegetarian and survive? Mr. Gandhi survived, and that is history. And while going to Africa, he found most of the Indians were there in South Africa. There was a bonded labor system. I don't want to go into the details, I just give a picture about it. And he fought for the release of the Indians who were under the bonded labor clutches, and he got them freedom. How did he get that freedom? Not by filing any application before the court of law there in South Africa, because all the judges were of different colors, who are not having the mindset to grant any liberty to those Indians who are working as bonded laborers. And ultimately, by means of satyagraha, he achieved the freedom for those Indians. That was the first lesson which got him success in South Africa, which has been repeated in India, and ultimately by sheer satyagraha and ahimsa, without taking any weapons, he got freedom to India. His wish was that India should be one. It should not be a divided India. But the then leaders, they insisted that there should be division of India on the basis of religion. So, on the basis of religion, the India was divided into two parts, namely Pakistan and India. There was a long debate. How come Pakistan could manage one on the east and one on the west. And it was told by the then leader of the Pakistan that it is not your bother and we will take care of that. That is how the East Pakistan and the West Pakistan came into existence, and now the Pakistan has been divided into Bangladesh and Pakistan, but India still remains as one country. That is the greatness of this country, because it is because of the Constitution. Now, we, after having become independent, we wanted to frame our own constitution, for which it was suggested that we should have a constituent assembly, and a constituent assembly was constituted. Originally it had large numbers, and those numbers have been reduced to 299 because of the partition of Pakistan, and as stated earlier during the introductory speech, that the Constituent Assembly went on for nearly 3 years and discussed the relevant articles which has got to be adopted, and for that they have taken inspiration from various countries, more particularly Canada, New Zealand, America, Australia, Ireland, Israel and other countries, and picking out certain portions from the constitution of different constitutions adopted by different countries. Our constitution has come into existence. Now, they have given 395 articles and 8 schedules to the Constitution of India. Now, I don't know, all of you would have gone through the subject constitutional law. Only a few students would have completed constitutional law, but the rest have to learn in future. So, originally there were only 395 articles and 8 schedules. But you always remember that a law which is static will be of no use. A static law cannot go with the mindset of the people and the advancement of the scientific knowledge of the people. Now, as a lawyer, our dean was telling that I have got a big library. Yes, it was true. I had a very good library. But what is the use of that library in the present scenario? As a law student, you all know that if you want to argue on a particular subject, you will have to inspire some judgments which would quote the law. How will you trace the judgments? You'll have to trace the judgments from the law journals, and law journals are of great volumes, and it's very difficult for you to search each and every volume. And we had a digest, and those digests are 50 years digest, 15 years digest, quinquennial digest. Quinquennial digest means for every 5 years there will be a digest, and we used to scan those digests and find out the law from those things. But now science has advanced. Now, by touching the screen of your mobile phone, you can get answers to any question. If I ask you one question now, with regard to the march of law, how many amendments have been made to our constitution? Will it be a big problem for you to answer it? Can anyone say? Is it a problem for you to answer? If I ask you a question, how many amendments have been done to the Indian Constitution? Tell me, anybody, who is in the last year of your curriculum? One thing I tell you, in this good gathering, you must develop confidence and you should venture to participate in the debate. That should be the attitude of the budding lawyers. Now, when I said how many amendments have been made to the Constitution, you just scan through your mobile phone, Google it, you will get how many amendments? 106. Who said that? Please stand up. Now, see, this is the march of law and the advancement of science. I congratulate that student. This is how you should be bold enough to come out. In those days, if you want to know how many amendments have been made, you'll have to go to your library. And the library will not give you the answer immediately. And you will have to scan through very many books, but still you won't get it. Now I'll ask you one question. The preamble of the Constitution has been read today and you have taken oath. In the Constitution, 2 words have been amended apart from one other word. Can you tell me what are the words that has been added to the preamble of the Constitution? Come out. What are the 2 words that has been added to the Constitution? Secular, socialist and secular. Now, okay. Now, under which amendment? 42nd, very good. What do you call the 42nd amendment? It's a mini constitution. I should congratulate your teachers for having imparted this amount of knowledge. Constitution subject is a very good subject. It's an interesting one. You must develop the interest in the Constitution. Once you develop interest in the Constitution, you would love it. Once you love the Constitution, it amounts the love to the country. So, you develop an attitude to read the entire articles comprised in the Indian Constitution from 1 to 395. Even though the last article is 395, we said that 106 amendments have been made. That means several articles have been introduced. And all those articles are not given after 395. They would say, suppose 300 article is there. They introduce one article as 300A. What is 300A? Right to property, very good. Now, right to property was a fundamental right, is it not? Once in the beginning, right to property was a fundamental right. Then India wanted to develop its agrarian resources. So, vast acres of lands were in the hands of few individuals. Several movements have taken place in India. They wanted to have equal distribution of the lands to almost all the citizens of the people. So they brought in agrarian reforms. When they brought in agrarian reforms, the fundamental rights was blocking it. So it was challenged I'll come to this point a little bit later. And then only this article 300A came jettisoned from the part 3 of the constitution, namely the fundamental rights. So the right to property is no longer a fundamental right, but it is a what right? When it is not a fundamental right, what right? Come on. Human right. It becomes a human right, not a fundamental right. Okay, that is how 300A has come into existence. Now, I said that the Constituent Assembly was constituted in the year 1946 and ultimately the Indian Constitution was adopted on 26/11/1949. That day has been celebrated as the Law Day. Law Day was actually celebrated in the United States of America. They have been celebrating the Law Day on every 1st of May, right from 1957. Now, by default, we have been celebrating the Law Day. And the Law Day had become a constitutional day. When India started celebrating the constitutional day? When? Any idea? Which Prime Minister declared? Okay. See, that is why I said, as right from your student days, you should be in touch with the daily events that take place in India. When you have a record of what all has happened in your daily life, you will be able to remember it. As I said earlier, to be a lawyer, you must be having some knowledge of everything. Not everything about one subject. You must have a versatile knowledge. So, in the year 2015, Prime Minister Modi has declared the 26/11 as the Constitutional Day. That was the first time when it has got recognition. But when we started having this Law Day was originally inaugurated by Dr. L.M. Singhvi, a great jurist, and he initiated the day as a Law Day. He was the bar president of the Supreme Court and he inaugurated it. And why do we celebrate the Law Day? What is the purpose behind it? And one thing I want to tell here is to infuse confidence in the mind of yourself. The great Felix Frankfurt wrote in 1927, you just listen to these words very carefully. Law is what the lawyers are. Law is what the lawyers are. The Constitution of India had been drafted mostly by the lawyers, and they only know the significance of each and every term. Each and every term has got its own value. That is why it is said, the law is what the lawyers are. Then comes the most important thing. Law and lawyers are what the law schools make them. Now you understand the words? Law and lawyers are what the law schools make them. So it is only this institution which is instrumental in shaping up the career of the young budding lawyers. If the career of the young budding lawyers are developed with a strong foundation, the future of India would be more bright. So, the law plays a major role through the lawyers, and the lawyers are shaped by the law schools and in turn by teachers like your dean, Mr. Arpudam. So the ultimate credit goes to the law institution, which alone makes the lawyers and the law of the country. And here I would point out that the lawyers will always remain as students of law. And that is why I said the lawyers as well as the students of law must maintain high standards of professional conduct and etiquette. What is etiquette? You know it? Heard about it? Etiquette. Etiquette. It's a kind of behavior. That is etiquette. How to greet a person, how to send off a person, how to dine in a mess. All these things are conduct, and the etiquette should be fair for a lawyer, and it should not be abusive. So the lawyers should maintain high standards of conduct as well as etiquette and cultivate discipline at all times. If you maintain these things, you will not read reports that are being reported in the dailies about the lawyers or other professionals. You have come across the fact that a doctor has been stabbed. You come across a news that a lawyer has been murdered. You come across a thing that a lawyer has been stabbed. What is the reason behind all these matters? Why the doctor has been stabbed? Why there is a murder of a lawyer? Is it because they practice law or because they practice medicine? No. It is not the practice or the profession which is the cause for this sort of incidents. It is the behavioral pattern. If you adopt a etiquette or etiquette in your professional conduct, you will never land in trouble. And as I said earlier, Dr. Singhvi introduced this law day after 30 years of adoption of the Constitution. Now in 2015, Constitutional Day has been adopted. And the purpose of the day, to quote the speech of Honorable Law Minister Justice Sadananda Gowda, I quote him, "We rededicate ourselves to the cardinal principles of rule of law." Now here I stop for a moment. What is rule of law? Without the rule of law, nothing can happen in this country. For anything and everything, there will be a rule. So rule of law is the primordial slogan for the maintenance and governance of the country. The rule of law is adopted by the courts. Where do you derive the rule of law? The rule of law is derived only from the Constitution. Rule of law, independence of the judiciary. Without judiciary, Nothing survives in this world, I tell you. Even today, you have seen in the newspapers. Again, how many of you have seen the newspapers? Yesterday there was a news about the Constitution. What was the news about the Constitution by the Supreme Court? Why? Come on, somebody. What was the news about the Indian Constitution yesterday? என்னது இல்ல அங்கறே சொல்லுங்க, raise your voice and tell me.
சார் அந்த அமெண்ட்மென்ட் பண்ணாங்களே சோஷியலிஸ்ட் செகுலரிசம்,
Yes, very good.
அது வந்து சஞ்சய் அவர் அந்த ஜஸ்டிஸ் வந்து அது பண்ணக்கூடாது, அந்த பெட்டிஷன் வந்து கேன்சல் பண்ணிட்டாங்க.
Fine.
Okay,
This is what I wanted. You people should keep track of the events that take place. So yesterday there was a judgment questioning the amendment of the preamble of the Constitution, wherein the original words were sovereign, democratic, republic. That's all. Nothing more than that. But after some time, by the 42nd Amendment, the word secular and socialist, and one more word was added, the integrity, unity and integrity of the nation. 3 words have been amended and introduced in the preamble. Now that was challenged after a long time. And even though the constitutions have been challenged several times before the Supreme Court and several high courts, nobody dared to challenge the secular fabric and the socialist fabric of this country. But to say this term, secular and socialist, were discussed by the Constituent Assembly. It was not as if the Constituent Assembly was not aware of the term secular or socialist. They were aware of it. But what they wanted to put it in the preamble is how the future India should be governed. And for that purpose, they never wanted to put secularism or socialism. Secularism is part and parcel of the basic structure of the Indian Constitution and the preamble. Because secularism is the mindset of the people. What sort of secularism you need? Now we have a debate about secularism. That is why it has been challenged. And socialism has been challenged. Did they challenge any other provision of the preamble? No. Because the Constituent Assembly was very thorough in choosing the terms for the preamble, which can never be shaken at any point of time. But the later rulers, they wanted to introduce these 2 terms, and they have become subjects of discussion among the politicians as well as the citizens of India. And now the Supreme Court has set a knot that you cannot challenge the constitutional amendment with regard to the inclusion of the term socialist, secularist. So that is one part. And to quote the words of Sadananda, the rule of law, independence of the judiciary and legal profession are the other principle flowing from the very cardinal principle, without which the Constitution will not survive. The next purpose of celebrating this day is to honor the Constitution and the framers of the Constitution. Here, I want to quote with regard to the American history. There, they celebrate, as I said earlier, May 1st as a law day. What do they do on May 1st? It is celebrated on 1st of May every year at all schools, because they are the future generation of the country. It should be cultivated in the minds of the younger generation. That is why they started celebrating in the schools and in public gatherings as well as courts, and discuss how law help people live together peacefully and fairly. Living together should be peaceful and it should be very fair. There shall be no ups and downs. The American Bar Association chooses an annual theme to highlight a particular aspect of law or the legal process. Every year they choose a legal theme so that they want to inculcate the basic features of their own constitution. Any country for that matter, the basic feature of the constitution is life and liberty. Life and liberty is the place which has in France, and the liberty of statue has been migrated to the United States of America from France. And I do believe and experience that in United States of America, every citizen feels secured because they feel that the rule of law will be there. Any lady can take her car at the dead of the night in any dark corners of that area without fear, because they are confident that the rule of law will be maintained with all sternness. That is how the rule of law should be established in a country. You all know the quotation of Mahatma Gandhi. When the women folk are able to walk freely at night, then only I would say India has attained its freedom. This is also based on the theory of life and liberty. What is the theme of America in the year 2024? That is Voices of Democracy. I would wish that in India also we should have a theme every year. Now, when I was talking to our dean and the controller of examinations in the morning, Prime Minister Modi has declared a theme, but unfortunately the theme was in Hindi, which we are not able to follow it. What is the Hindi term for constitution? What is the Hindi term for the constitution? Anybody? Nobody knows it. Okay, well, that is because there is a lot of discussion as to whether we should have a 2-language formula or a 3-language formula. What we have been adopting is hitherto is a 2-language formula, one in English, which will be easy for people to communicate with each other, and the Hindi being the national language. So it should be in both languages, and any enactment or a statute, it will be printed in Hindi as well as in English. the famous 3 enactments of the Indian jurisprudence are the IPC, Criminal Procedure Code, and Indian Evidence Act. Now those 3 acts have been amended as what? Don't say BNNS. Tell me Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita. Very difficult to pronounce. Do you know the meaning of this term? Bharatiya Suraksha Sanhita. Suppose if I say criminal procedure code, you can easily say the procedure with regard to criminal matters are called criminal procedure code. If I say Indian penal code, see, any offence which is punishable is penal statute. You will say it is an Indian penal code. What is the Indian Evidence Act? What are the matters which are admissible and inadmissible in a court of law is governed by the Indian Evidence Act. But what is done now? Bharatiya Sakshya Athenium. What is Athenium? Nobody knows it. We know Sakshya means Sakshyam, that we know it. Bharatiya, no doubt, it is India, because in the constitution itself it is said that India is known as India or Bharat. So it is, they said it is okay. Now we go to the BNS. What is that? Bharatiya Indian Penal Code? Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Nyayam valangarudundraanga. But IPC is not rendering any justice. It is not rendering any nyayam. It is only penalizing the people for violating the law. Now, this Samvithan, which is the Constitution of India, is actually a theme has been introduced, but I am not able to follow it. But you just Google it and you will find it out. And one more thing is the achievements made hitherto by the adoption of the Indian Constitution, and we should raise an awareness among the public with regard to the constitutional rights, the basic structures of the Constitution to the common man, and we shall try to promote civic management and encourage people to participate in the legal system and take an active role in shaping the law of the governing society. You all might have come across the legal services of India. In every district we have a legal aid committee, and this legal committee goes to the villages and spread the knowledge of law. The most important thing is the achievement that has been made by the independent India is the gender discrimination has been done away with. How do they do the gender discrimination vanishing? One example, can any of you tell me which comes to your mind when you say that gender discrimination has been done away with in India? One example. See, the right to inheritance. Right to inheritance is given to the daughters also. See, when you read the family law, you will come across section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act. What does it say? Previously, only the male members are called co-partners. Now, even a female is a co-partner. She has got a right by birth. And now, what was the last amendment that has taken place in India? What is the 106 amendment? Pardon? Yeah, somebody told me the right one. 1/3 of the women are entitled to occupy the constitutional post, namely the members of the parliament. So this is how they are trying to destroy the gender discrimination. So if you want to promote these ideas, it should reach the common man of the India. That is the purpose of celebrating the Constitutional Day. And one more thing, it is a time for you to review the Constitution. Which one is injurious to us? Which one should be developed? There shall be a debate. And finally, you must, as law students, find out what are the areas which require development. This is the purpose for which today we have assembled in this auditorium to celebrate the Constitution Day. Now, we will go to the next step with regard to the evolution of law. How do you feel? Is it interesting or it is little bit boredom? Okay. Shall I go on? Yes. Now, with regard to the evolution of law, every country will have a Magna Carta. What is a Magna Carta? Magna Carta is the basic foundation of the rights of the individual. Where do we get this term Magna Carta? Magna Carta is the charter that is given by King John of England to his citizens. The citizens of England were actually bound by the orders of the king. They don't have any individual rights. And the rebellious barons of UK, they compelled King John to give liberties and rights to the citizens of UK. See, every country will have to fight for its human rights. That is how in UK the monarchy was watered down to a greater extent, even though in Britain you have still a monarchical system, but there is also a democratic principle that is being followed. Now, that was given in the year 1215. After that only we started having Magna Carta as the foundation for all the human right or the framing of the governance laws. That is the Magna Carta. That is the foundation for individual rights. The Constitution may be written or unwritten. The Constitution of UK is an unwritten one, but the oldest written Constitution is that of United States of America, that is of the year 1787. Not only United Kingdom, you have New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, China, Canada and Israel. They have unwritten constitution. Now we will go to the states, unitary states and federal states. Unity in diversity is the great slogan of India, is it not? Unity in diversity. Because India was once ruled by several rulers, several provinces were there, and all the provinces were brought together, and it was a federation of several provinces which made India as one country. That is why it was contemplated as America had United States of America. all the states have been united together to form America. Similarly, several provinces have been united to make one India. Whether we call it as a federal India, but they decided to pick up the word Union of India. What is a union? Union of several provinces that were in India that has been made as a federal structure. Now, unitary state is one, and the federal states are a combination of several states. The Indian Constitution is neither unitary nor federal. It combines both. It is unitary in certain aspects and federal in some other aspects. It is federal in some other aspect because every state has its own legislature. They can enact their own laws. They can send representatives from their state to the union government, namely the parliament. We can even send our representative to the Rajya Sabha. This is to strengthen the unity among the several states and to promote the participation of every state in the governance of India. This is one of the federal structure. And you, as a constitutional law students, you would have come across, that is the state list, the union list and the concurrent list. This is how the federal structure is maintained. But at the same time, it has a strong unitary structure to have a compact India. First, in India, we have only one citizenship. It is not a multi-citizenship. Every state cannot have own Indian citizenship. You have got only one Indian citizenship, one parliament, one judiciary. It is only the Supreme Court of India which lays down the law under the Constitution of India. Whatever law that has been made, whatever law that has been declared by the high courts of the states are challenged before the Supreme Court. One judiciary. And the judiciary, as I stated, is in top, and we have got appointment of governors. See, what is the role of a governor in a state? To maintain the federal structure, the governor is introduced, and the president appoints a governor, and he serves at the pleasure of the president, and he acts as an agent of the central government or the union government. The most important draconic law which the center has is the emergency laws. You all know about the emergency that has been declared in India. Even the state assemblies can be dissolved at the instance of the center, and that is the emergency power. And we have got in single constitution and the destructible states. Destructible state means what? Telangana, Andhra Pradesh was one state. Now that was divided into Telangana and Andhra. The Madras province was one thing. The Madras province was divided into Madras, Andhra, Karnataka, as well as Kerala. These are all the powers which were given to the central government to have a unitary state. And with regard to the federalism, what is the latest example of the Unitary Act as well as the question of federalism in India? Article 370 has been removed from the Constitution of India, and Kashmir has been declared to be a state of India, and it has been divided into two, and thereby the separate constitution that has been given to Kashmir, separate enactment given to Kashmir has been done away with. This is the sheer example of unitary state of Indian Constitution. But this has been challenged whether it is not affecting the constitutional law. But in Article 370, it has been upheld by the Supreme Court that the removal of 370 from the facets of Constitution is valid. And we have talked about the Constituent Assembly. Now we will go to the next one, Constitution. What is Constitution? Constitution is a basic principle which governs the administration and the relationship between different organs of the government and the rights and duties of the individual citizens. The individual citizens are having not only rights but duties also. I don't want to elaborate on all those matters, and I simply state the purpose of Constitution. And here we have to remember certain persons who have drafted the Indian Constitution. And the Indian Constitution has got a drafting committee which comprised of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyengar, Gopal Swamy, Munshi, Muhammad Shadullah, Mitter and Kaitan. And the Indian Constitution is the longest constitution in the world, and the smallest constitution is owned by which country? Monaco. Monaco is the smallest country which has a population of 36,000 only. 36,000 alone. They have their own constitution, and the per capita income of the citizens is the highest in the world. And the chairman of the drafting committee was B.R. Ambedkar, and the chief draftsman of the Constituent Assembly is Surendranath Mukherjee, and the constitutional advisor is Mr. B.N. Rao. And the Indian Constitution was written in calligraphy. The calligrapher, it's an art of writing the words. It is called calligraphy. This was, Indian Constitution was written by Prem Bihari Narayan Raisa. He is the calligrapher who wrote the Indian Constitution both in English and Hindi. And this was beautified by the artist of the Shantiniketan. And now we go to the preamble. This is more important to us. What is the preamble of the Indian Constitution? Who gave the Indian Constitution to India? Who gave? who gave the Indian Constitution to India? Is it Mahatma Gandhi or Jawaharlal Nehru? Who gave the Indian Constitution? Pardon? B.R. Ambedkar. B.R. Ambedkar is a person who drafted the Indian Constitution. But the Indian Constitution is given by you people of India, not Ambedkar or Mahatma Gandhi or any other individual. Look at the opening of the words of the preamble. We the people of India. It is only the people of India who have drafted the Constitution of India. What is the purpose for which the Constitution of India is given? We the people of India, having solemnly resolved. What is a solemn resolution? The solemn resolution of the people of India is to constitute India into what? Into a sovereign democratic republic, which has been later amended as socialist secular India. And what purpose this India is constituted? The purpose is to secure to all its citizens. See, the very purpose of Constitution is to secure something to the people of India. What do they want to secure? They want to secure justice, liberty, and equality. These are the three major things which they wanted to secure for the Indian citizens. They give themselves the right of liberty and equality and justice. What sort of justice they want? They want justice which is political, social, and economical. And I don't want to elaborate on these three matters, but I have a lingering doubt in my mind why the framers of the Constitution have not included educational justice. Without education, no country can develop, is it not? Can any country develop without education? Is not education is a justice to the common people of India, but somehow or other they missed it. But later they have rectified it by making education compulsory, and they have brought this education as a fundamental right. Okay, this education has been brought in as a fundamental right. See, this is justice. What sort of liberty you need in India? The sort of liberty that you need in India is liberty of thought. When we think something, what do? We express ourselves. The liberty of thought, expression, and then the belief in what? Some faith. What is the result of the faith? The result of the faith is worship. So, the liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. The most important thing is equality. What sort of equality? Equality of status. This is what I referred a little bit earlier. The gender discrimination has been done away with. Men and women are equal. That is equality. We are just marching towards the attainment of the goal enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution. That is equality of status. Mere status alone will not help you. An opportunity should be there for you to enjoy that. What is that opportunity? Opportunity of education, fair employment, fair medical services. All those things are equality. Every person should be dealt equally. And what is the next step? You must promote among the Indian citizens what? Fraternity. What do you mean by fraternity? This is the most important thing I tell you. If you treat your co-human beings as your brothers and sisters, there will not be any calamity or fight. There should be no fight at all. So what they say is to promote among all fraternity. சகோதரத்துவத்தை மட்டும் வளர்த்தா போதாது, but assuring dignity of the individual. ஒரு மனிதனுடைய தனித்தன்மையையும் மரியாதையும் மாண்பையும் காப்பாற்றணும். அடுத்து மனிதனுடைய தனி உரிமையும் மாண்பையும் காப்பாற்ற மட்டும் போதாது, the unity of the nation சொன்னாங்க. நாட்டினுடைய ஒற்றுமையும் காப்பாற்றக்கூடிய கடமை நமக்கு இருக்குது. அதையும் ப்ரொமோட் பண்ணணும். அந்த வார்த்தை தான் இப்போ என்ன பண்ணிட்டாங்க, யூனிட்டி அண்ட் இன்டெகிரிட்டி ஆஃப் த நேஷன், இது கொடுத்தாங்க. அடுத்து ஃபைனலி இன் அவர் கான்ஸ்டியூட் அசம்பிளி திஸ் 26th day of November 1949 do hereby adopt, enact, adopt பண்ணுறது மட்டும் இல்லை, we enact the Constitution of India and give to ourselves, give it to others கிடையாது, we give it to ourselves. We the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India as a secular nation, giving it to ourselves, that is ultimately give to ourselves this constitution. And the constitution, preamble of the constitution is the introductory part of the constitution. It is the soul of the constitution. It is the identity of the constitution. It is the horoscope of the constitution, without which constitution will not be there. The very purpose of constitution is to bring in these matters that have been made in the preamble. The preamble has become the part of constitution now. Originally preamble was not part of the constitution. Now preamble is a part of constitution, and the Supreme Court has held that the preamble can be amended. And here I just would invite your attention to Article 19 with regard to liberty, freedom of speech in Article 21, life and liberty and religion equality are reflected in Article 14, 30, 32 and 226 and 227. 32, what is that 32, Article 32? What is Article 32 and 226? Writ jurisdiction of the Madras High Court or each and every High Court is under 226. The writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is Article 32. Supervision is under Article 227. And this Article 21 is on the basis of the Constitution of the America. In America, there was a law called Bill of Attainder. I tell the word Bill of Attainder, ATTAINDER, Attainder. You just Google it, you will find out. See, as a lawyer, you should know the nuances of law and the various legal jargons or the terms. Bill of Attainder. This Bill of Attainder is one wherein the law can punish anybody without any trial. That is Bill of Attainder. This has been done away with under Article 20. No person can be punished without due process of law. And as I said earlier, under Article 21A of the Constitution, in the year 2023, by the Constitutional Amendment 86, the right to education has been included in the fundamental rights. I think I am running out of time. I just want to skip out almost all other matters except to state one aspect. What is a justiciable right? Justiciable right. Whether the amendments made under the Indian Constitution are justiciable or not. Justiciable means whether they pass the test of in consonance with the fundamental rights enumerated in the Constitution. If they do not pass the test of being in consonance with the basic structures of the Constitution, it can be struck down. This is called a justiciable right. And whenever the government passes any statute and when it is challenged before the Supreme Court strikes down that particular amendment on the ground it is not in consonance with the basic principles. This thing has gone a lot of change. Originally, it was held by the Supreme Court that the fundamental rights can be amended, and Shankari Prasad Narayan, Sajan Singh, those are the two cases which held that the Constitution can be amended at any point of time, including the fundamental rights. But then came Kashwananda Bharati case. All of you should go through the judgment Kashwananda Bharati, which has been dealt by 13 judges. You just go through it. 6 plus 6 plus 1 by a thin majority. 6 judges were in favor of amendment. 6 judges were not in favor of amendment. Only one man came out in support of the fact that the fundamental Constitution can be amended, but not the fundamental rights of the people, with a overrider that it should not offend the basic structures of the Constitution. That is how Kashwananda Bharati has evolved a doctrine, what is called doctrine of basic structure. And I would just go to the last aspect of this address, namely, what are the challenges we face with regard to the implementation of the Constitution of India. The first one is the power to amend the Constitution is centralized in the center under Article 368. Why don't we, the states, have the power to amend and recommend for the amendment of the Constitution? Because it is actually vested with the union government, which alone can do and undo things. Now we people say that need should be abolished. Central government says no, it will be one nation, one election. Whether it is possible or not, it's a challenge that has got to be discussed. Absence of fiscal federalism. What is fiscal federalism? Now, to put it in plain words, the central government is imposing GST there is also state tax. What they say, 9% GST, 9% state tax. So they collect 18%, and the money goes from the state to the center. Whether the center is properly distributing the income derived from the states in proportion to the amount that has been pooled in the center. That is again a debatable point. The power sharing, constitutional supremacy lies. Now there is a tug of war between the parliament and the judiciary. The judiciary says that we will appoint our own judges. The parliament says no, we will have a separate enactment for the appointment of the Supreme Court judges. What is that act called? National Judicial Appointment Act. That has been challenged. It has been set at naught by the Supreme Court. Thus, there is a tug of war between the two organs of the Constitution, namely the legislature and the judiciary. And ultimately, judiciary says that the central cannot interfere with regard to the amendment of the Constitution by introducing the National Judicial Appointment Act. And they made their own collegium consisting of 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court, and with regard to the appointment and transfer, 2 senior most judges of the High Courts. That is how they have evolved a system of recruiting and transferring the judges from one court to another. And with this, I think I can conclude. And before concluding that, I would just bring it to your notice some of the leading cases, and with that, I will wind up my address. The first case is, as I said earlier, Shankari Prasad. Second case following is same Sajan Singh. Both the cases have held fundamental rights can be amended. But next came Golaknath case. You just note it down and you probe into those judgments. First I said Shankari Prasad. The next one is Sajan Singh. The third one is Golaknath. Golaknath case, they said fundamental rights cannot be amended. Earlier 2 decisions held fundamental rights can be amended, but Golaknath said fundamental rights cannot be amended. Then came Kesavananda Bharati. There they say that the basic structures of the Constitution cannot be amended, other things can be amended. This has been affirmed by the Minerva Mills case. And recently, there is a case called Property Owners case, wherein they have dealt with 31B of the Constitution, wherein the properties owned by individuals can be acquired and it can be distributed to all citizens. There in that case, it was made that these, as a matter of fact, I have to state one more thing a little bit earlier. Originally there are 8 schedules. Schedule 9 was introduced. If any amendment or enactment which is placed in 9th schedule, it cannot be questioned before the Supreme Court. But even then the Supreme Court said that even if he put it in 9th schedule, if it offends the basic structure of the Constitution, that can be struck down. That is the property owner's curse. And the Jabalpur case is very important. The Jabalpur case is with regard to the emergency that was brought in, wherein the fundamental rights, namely any person can be arrested without undergoing the due process of law. Unfortunately, in Jabalpur case, they have upheld that fundamental rights can be suspended, and only one justice, Justice Khanna, he wrote a different judgment stating that it cannot be suspended. Fundamental rights, especially the liberty of the individual, cannot be suspended during the emergency. And he wrote a dissenting judgment. The effect of that dissenting judgment is he was overlooked with regard to the elevation of himself as the Chief Justice of India, and his junior most judge was appointed as the Chief Justice of India, which resulted in the resignation of nearly 4 judges of the Supreme Court. And that is why the collegium system have been brought into place, and this Jabalpur case has been overruled by case Puttasamy case, wherein they upheld the judgment of Justice Khanna. And in the article I have said about that, and one more judgment I will quote, that is the Indira Gandhi case with regard to the placing of the election of the Prime Minister and the Speaker above law. An enactment was made with regard to Article 329A, wherein they said no election of the Prime Minister or the Speaker of the Assembly can be questioned in any court of law. And ultimately, the Supreme Court struck down that law, that is in Indira Gandhi case. And before concluding my address, I would again appeal to the budding lawyers to be more confident. You develop confidence, passion for the profession, just to know the legal nuances and come out as the shining stars of the future India and protect the Constitution as well as the personal life and liberty of the individual. With it, I thank the institution for having given this wonderful opportunity to interact with the budding lawyers, and to be frank, I feel privileged as well as honored to address before you students of law. With this, I take leave of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. Gratitude is a sign of fondness that sparks the light of happiness. May we invite Dr. V. Prabha, Associate Professor, Center of Legal Education, to propose vote of thanks.
Good morning, one and all present here. I am very much privileged to be here in this wonderful occasion to extend vote of thanks on behalf of Center of Legal Education, SMEC. First of all, I thank Almighty for making this event a grand success, and I express my gratitude to the management members, the chairman, and also to the director for supporting us in organizing this event. My special thanks to the chief guest, the crown of the function, the chief guest Thiru Subramaniam sir, for spending his valuable time with us and for spending his thoughts with us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for a valuable presentation. I take this opportunity to extend my thanks to the captain of the ship I used to call the controller of examination, Thiru Dr. Jayakumar sir, who is really a very good administrator, who supports us always in all our activities. Thank you so much, sir. I extend my thanks to the Dean Academics, Dr. A. Arivalaga sir, a man with good heart who takes personal interest in guiding us and supporting us. Thank you so much, sir. I also extend my thanks to the Dean R&D, Dr. Velmurugan sir, who is really a humble person who respects each and everybody alike. I thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion. Thank you so much. An event like this cannot happen overnight. It requires lots of meticulous works and plannings to do, but this could be possible only by a person who is a mastermind behind this function, is none other than our Dean Dr. Vincent Arpadam sir, who acted as a catalyst in making us to stimulate and to give our best. I really am very much privileged to be his student, and we are as well. I thank him, sir, for making this event a grand success. Thank you so much, sir. And in this occasion, I extend my thanks to the faculty members. They are the guiding stars of Center of Legal Education, who guides us in all our endeavors. Thank you, faculty members, my own colleagues, and deans and HODs of SMAC as well. Then I take this opportunity to thank all the administrative members, more with special mention to Dr. Jayachitra Madam, HOD, English Department, for comparing, and Vasant sir, the system admin, and Vignesh sir, photography, and also I thank each and everyone who supports us in making this event a grand success. And my special thanks to the students of SMAC and also to all the other department students. Without audience, no functions can be organized. Thank you so much for maintaining patience. Last but not the least, we are very fortunate to have a group of activists, motivated and dedicated students, that is the student volunteers and Law Day organizers, Law Day coordinators. They were supporting us a lot. Without the Law Day organizers, the rocking star of today's function is none other than the Law Day organizers, Law Day coordinators and student volunteers. Thank you so much for your valuable support, and thank you one and all. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. A sense of patriotism and pride for one's nation marks the state's glory and rich heritage. Let us all stand and feel proud to sing our national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय